London has laws that ban sliding on ice, handling salmon suspiciously, and shaking your carpet at the wrong time of day. And those are just the beginning. For centuries, this city executed thousands at public gallows, stacked 12,000 corpses in a single basement, and charged admission for visitors to mock chained asylum patients. Here are 40 verified, absurd, and genuinely grotesque facts about London that prove truth is stranger than fiction. Number 30. You cannot carry planks down a pavement. Under the Metropolitan Police Act of 1839, it's technically illegal to carry planks, ladders, poles, or cumbersome items along London pavements that might obstruct pedestrians. This Victorian regulation was designed for crowded streets where someone hauling a 12-foot plank could legitimately knock someone's hat off. The law remains on the books, meaning a modern homeowner carrying materials home could theoretically be fine. Nobody enforces it, but technically you're breaking the law every time you carry something inconvenient through a busy street. Number 29. Shaking your rug has a very specific time window. Section 60 of the Metropolitan Police Act, 1839, prohibits beating or shaking carpets, rugs, and mats in streets, with one exception: doormats before 8 a.m. Presumably, Victorians woke at dawn to violently beat dust from their carpets on the pavement, which made sense when everyone did it simultaneously. After 8:01 a.m., you're legally violating this law. The exact reasoning: noise and dust pollution disturbing daytime pedestrians and shopkeepers. Your doormat gets a pass, your bedroom rug does not. Number 28. Getting drunk in a pub is actually illegal. The Licensing Act of 1872 makes it an offense to be intoxicated in any licensed premises, including pubs themselves. This peculiar Victorian morality law is technically still enforceable today. A person visibly drunk inside a pub can be ejected and fined. The law assumed pubs would police drunkenness, but it also assumed the legal system would actually prosecute someone for enjoying their drink. Modern enforcement is virtually non-existent unless someone becomes disruptive or violent. Number 27. You cannot slide on ice in London. Section 54 of the Metropolitan Police Act 1839 explicitly forbids sliding on ice or snow in any street or thoroughfare, to the common danger of the passengers. This law applies uniquely to London. Other parts of the UK don't have this specific restriction. The logic is straightforward. Someone sliding uncontrollably on ice could collide with pedestrians, vendors, or horse-drawn carriages. In modern terms, it's basically preventing dangerous behavior on icy pavements. Number 26. Flying a kite requires caution. Under Section 54 of the Metropolitan Police Act 1839, flying a kite in a public place is illegal if it causes annoyance to other people and can result in a fine up to £200. The Victorian logic originated from concerns about kites distracting horses, which would bolt and cause carriage accidents. The phrase "annoyance to other people" is deliberately vague, allowing subjective enforcement. In reality, nobody's been prosecuted for kite flying in decades. Number 25. Handling salmon suspiciously is a crime. The Salmon Act of 1986 makes it illegal to handle salmon under suspicious circumstances. What constitutes suspicious circumstances remains delightfully ambiguous. The law was designed to combat illegal salmon fishing and poaching, but the phrasing is absurdly vague. Theoretically, carrying a salmon at midnight while wearing a trench coat could qualify. The law targets black market fish trading, but its wording has made it a punchline. Nobody's quite sure what non-suspicious salmon handling looks like. Number 24. You cannot drive cattle through London at certain hours. The Metropolitan Streets Act of 1867 prohibits driving cattle through London streets between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., unless you have explicit police permission. This was practical when livestock markets operated in central London and herds blocked traffic. Daytime cattle drives disrupted commerce, frightened horses, and left substantial waste. The law remains technically active, though London's cattle driving days are long over. Modern freedom of the city holders claim exemption for sheep on London Bridge. Number 23. No pigsties at your front door. Under the Town Police Clauses, Act 1847, it's illegal to build a pigsty at the front of your property unless it is duly concealed. Victorian legislators were concerned about odor, disease, and the general unsightliness of pigs directly facing the street. The law doesn't ban pigsties entirely, just visible ones at the front. Backyard pigs were acceptable. Front yard pigs were a public nuisance. This strange regulation remains in force for London properties, though enforcement is non-existent. Number 22. Wearing armor in Parliament gets you in trouble. The 1313 statute forbidding bearing of armor makes it illegal for MPs to enter Parliament wearing a suit of armor. This medieval law originated during a period of political violence when armed knights occasionally stormed Parliament. The restriction ensured debates remained civil, rather than turning into armed confrontations. The law has never been repealed and remains technically enforceable. No modern MP has tested it, though the Speaker would likely intervene before any prosecution. Number 21. Taking a taxi while infected is forbidden. Sections 33 to 34 of the Public Health Act, 1984, prohibit passengers from taking a London cab if they have plague, leprosy, rabies, food poisoning, whooping cough, or any notifiable disease. The cab driver can agree if informed beforehand and must disinfect the vehicle afterward. This law made sense when infectious disease spread rapidly through enclosed spaces. Modern enforcement is voluntary. Nobody checks taxi passengers for bubonic plague. The law assumes honesty and self-reporting, which seems optimistic. Number 20. You cannot skip the queue at the tube. Jumping queues at London Underground ticket halls violates Transport for London bylaws. Unlike most laws on this list, this one is genuinely enforced, though primarily through social shaming rather than legal prosecution. Queue jumping is considered a profound cultural violation in Britain, and tube staff will absolutely call you out. The bylaw exists because orderly queuing prevents station overcrowding and potential safety hazards. Fines can be issued, but public humiliation is the real punishment. Number 19. The Queen owns all unmarked mute swans. Under common law confirmed during Elizabeth I's reign, the British monarch owns all unmarked mute swans swimming in open English waters. This ancient prerogative remains in effect today, though enforcement is limited to certain Thames stretches. The law originated when swans were a delicacy reserved for royalty and nobility. Only St. John's College, Cambridge, and certain ancient guilds have exemptions. The annual swan upping ceremony counts and marks swans to determine ownership. Number 18. Beached whales and sturgeons must be offered to the monarch. An act of Edward II from 1322 decrees that whales, sturgeons, dolphins, and porpoises washed ashore must be offered to the reigning monarch as royal fish. This law is still active. In 2004, a Welsh fisherman caught a sturgeon and dutifully offered it to Queen Elizabeth II, who politely declined. The law assumes these creatures are valuable enough to warrant royal claim. Modern monarchs rarely accept, but the gesture remains legally required. Number 17. London Bridge was topped with severed heads. For centuries, executed traitors' heads were impaled on iron spikes at London Bridge as public warnings. German visitor Paul Hensler counted over 30 heads in 1598. The heads were boiled and tar-dipped by a semi-official position called the Keeper of the Heads to preserve them longer. This gruesome deterrent continued for nearly 400 years. The first head belonged to William Wallace in 1305. The practice ended in the 1660s when it became unfashionable. Number 16. Anne Boleyn's eyes and lips moved after beheading. Witnesses reported that after her head was severed on Tower Green in 1536, Anne Boleyn's eyes and lips continued moving, as if in prayer. This phenomenon, though disturbing, is scientifically plausible. Neural activity can persist briefly after decapitation. Tudor witnesses interpreted it as a religious sign or supernatural event. The French swordsman hired for her execution was considered more merciful than the traditional axe, but consciousness didn't end instantly. Number 15. William Wallace underwent hanged, drawn, and quartered. The Scottish rebel was subjected to one of history's most brutal execution methods in 1305. Hanged until nearly dead, then disemboweled while alive, his organs burned before his eyes, his heart cut out while still beating, and finally beheaded. His body was quartered and displayed in Edinburgh, Newcastle, Stirling, Berwick, and Perth. The total documented cost of this butchery was 61 shillings and 10 pence. England reserved this punishment for high treason. Number 14. The Tyburn tree could execute 24 people simultaneously. The three-sided wooden gallows erected at Tyburn in 1571 could hold 24 prisoners at once, allowing mass executions for crowd entertainment. The structure had 8 hanging positions per beam. The 3-mile journey from Newgate Prison to Tyburn took 3 hours due to congestion from spectators lining the route. Executions were public holidays. Crowds numbered in the tens of thousands. The gallows became London's most infamous landmark. Number 13. The Great Plague killed over 100,000 Londoners. Between 1665 to 1666, the plague ravaged London, killing over 100,000 people, approximately 15% of the population. The city faced an unprecedented disposal crisis. Multiple plague pits, mass graves for thousands, were hastily dug throughout the city. Bodies were collected by cart at night. Red crosses marked infected houses. Entire families were sealed inside their homes. The death toll overwhelmed London's infrastructure. Mass burials became the only practical solution. Number 12. medieval Londoners produced 50,000 kilograms of human waste daily. In medieval times, London's population of roughly 10,000 to 20,000 generated approximately 50,000 kilograms of feces per day, more than 6 double-decker buses worth. Streets became open sewers by default. Chamber pots were emptied directly onto streets with the warning cry, Gardez-l'eau, a corruption of French Gardez-l'eau, meaning watch out for the water. Muckrakers were hired to clean streets. The stench was unbearable, especially in summer. Number 11, Enon Chapel buried 12,000 bodies in a tiny basement vault. Between 1822 and 1842, Baptist minister Reverend W. Howes operated a macabre burial scheme in a basement vault measuring only 59 feet by 12 feet beneath Enon Chapel near the Strand. He charged just 15 shillings for burial, far cheaper than competitors, allowing the poor to afford burials. The vault became impossibly overcrowded. Bodies were stacked vertically and horizontally. Approximately 500 burials occurred annually in this impossibly small space. Number 10. The Great Fire of London reached 1,700 degrees Celsius. Analysis of melted pottery fragments from the 1666 fire revealed temperatures reaching 1,700 degrees Celsius, hot enough to fuse metal together. Yet officially, only 6 deaths were recorded, though working-class deaths went undocumented. The fire destroyed 13,000 houses and 87 churches. It started in a bakery on Pudding Lane and burned for 4 days. Stone buildings exploded from the heat. The Thames was too low to provide effective firefighting water. Number 9. Ben Jonson was buried upright in a 2x2 foot space. The famous poet and playwright was buried standing up in Westminster Abbey, fitting his entire body into a grave, measuring just 2 feet by 2 feet. In 1849, during nearby excavation work, his leg bones were indeed found in a vertical position, confirming the tale. The upright burial saved space in the crowded abbey. Jonson reportedly requested it himself, joking he couldn't afford a full grave plot. Number 8. Jerry Springer was born in a London tube station during the Blitz. The famous talk show host was born in Highgate Station during World War II, when it was being used as a bomb shelter in February 1944. He is one of only 3 babies ever born in the underground system. Thousands of Londoners sheltered in tube stations during German bombing raids. Highgate's deep tunnels provided safety from explosions above. Springer's parents were Jewish refugees who fled Nazi persecution. His birth certificate lists Highgate Station as birthplace. Number 7. The Russell Square staircase sign lies about the number of steps. A sign at Russell Square Station claims there are 175 stairs, but there are actually only 171, a discrepancy that has puzzled and amused commuters for years. Nobody knows whether the sign maker miscounted, the stairs were later rebuilt with fewer steps, or it's a deliberate mystery. Transport for London has never officially explained the discrepancy. Commuters have verified the actual count repeatedly. The sign remains unchanged. Number 6. The escalator safety demonstration required a man with a wooden leg. When the first escalator was installed at Earl's Court in 1911, the public was terrified of the new moving staircase. A man named William Bumper Harris, who had a wooden leg, was hired to ride the escalator repeatedly to prove its safety. The logic: if a one-legged man could navigate it without incident, surely able-bodied passengers could. His demonstration successfully convinced skeptical Victorians. Escalators became standard underground features. Number 5. Almost 60% of the London Underground is actually above ground. Despite its name, the majority of the tube system runs above ground level, confounding the expectations of visitors who imagine an entirely subterranean network. Only the deep-level lines in central London are truly underground. Outer sections use Victorian railway embankments and cuttings. The underground branding refers to the central core tunnels. Metropolitan and district lines are largely surface railways. The name is technically misleading. Number 4. The tube map designer was paid only 5 guineas. Harry Beck's radical 1933 redesign of the tube map, which eschewed geographical accuracy for clarity, became iconic. Inspired by electrical circuit diagrams, his design simplified the complex network into straight lines and angles. Transport for London initially rejected it as too radical. Beck was eventually paid 5 guineas, about £5.25, for what became one of London's most valuable design assets. His map design is now used worldwide. Number 3. Patients at Bedlam were chained and put on display for paying visitors. Bethlehem Royal Hospital, known as Bedlam, charged admission for the public to watch mentally ill patients chained in filthy cells. Visitors would taunt, jeer, and goad inmates into ridiculous behavior through peepholes and bars. This was considered entertainment. Families brought children. Bedlam earned significant revenue from spectator admissions. The practice continued until the early 19th century, when reformers finally ended it. Patients had no dignity or privacy. Number 2. London's black cab drivers must pass the knowledge. London black cab drivers must pass the knowledge, widely considered the world's most difficult taxi exam. Trainees spend 3 to 4 years memorizing 25,000 streets and 20,000 landmarks within a 6-mile radius of Charing Cross. They must know 320 routes by heart and calculate the fastest path between any 2 points without GPS. The exam failure rate exceeds 50%. Studies show the knowledge physically enlarges the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, making cab drivers' brains structurally different from average people. Number 1. The River Fleet is now a completely hidden sewer. London's largest subterranean river was gradually covered between the 1730s and 1870s and now functions as a storm relief sewer beneath modern streets. Stone for St. Paul's Cathedral was transported via the Fleet in the 1100s when it was a major waterway. The river once powered mills and supported industry. Today, it's completely invisible to the city above, though its presence is marked by street names like Fleet Street and Farringdon Road. From laws about suspicious salmon to a river hidden beneath an entire city, London's history is equal parts absurd, brutal, and darkly fascinating. These 40 facts barely scratch the surface of a city built on centuries of peculiar legislation, public executions, and genuinely disturbing burial practices. The most unsettling part? Many of these laws are still technically enforceable today. Subscribe for more absurd city facts and urban planning explanations.